the Baen Free Radio Hour.
Hello and welcome to the Baen Free Radio Hour. Today on the show, Jeremy Comeaux interviews legendary author Timothy Zahn on his novel Icarus Coda, which completes the Icarus series. After that, we bring you part 8 of the serialization of Mark Van Name's John and Lobo novel, One Jump Ahead.
And welcome everyone to another episode. My name is Jeremy Comeaux, but I'm not why you're here. You are here because of this gentleman, Mr. Timothy Zahn. He needs no introduction, but I did it anyway. I warned him, but before we get started, a little gratuitous flattery. The last time we spoke, I had not read any of Tim's Star Wars book, but I have since rectified that, and I love them. I love Ascendancy. I'm blanking on Thrawn Ascendancy. Is a great series. If you haven't read it, please go check it out. It's worth it. Thrawn is a great character, and flattery over. Well, probably not. I'm probably lying, but so we are actually here to talk about the Icarus Coda, but since it is the last book in the series, we're going to talk about the whole series. So buckle up. It's going to be a fun ride. And do you prefer Tim or Timothy?
Timothy in print. Tim is fine in conversation.
All right, awesome.
There were some conventions in the past where I was known so well they would put Tim Zahn on my badge, and people would do a double take. Are you Timothy Zahn? So I try to keep it Timothy in print.
Hey, that sounds good. So let's talk about the series. I just finished reading the Icarus Coda, and I've gotten to read a couple of the other books in the series since we've done interviews in the series before, but I haven't had the pleasure of reading all of them. So what I was thinking what we do is kind of talk about the characters, talk about the stories and the evolution throughout the whole series. And there's one character that I was very excited to see in Coda, which was the father.
Yes.
Yes. I'm assuming he was in the last book as well,
Yes.
but I haven't gotten a chance to read that. But I was very excited to actually meet that character other through the main character's sayings. So let's get started. Let's talk about the characters, the main characters, the protagonists, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Okay. A little bit of history. Back in 1999, it was essentially a standalone book called The Icarus Hunt. It was a lot of fun to do, and for 20 years, I tried to find a sequel story or something I could do with those characters in that universe, and nothing ever came. So fast forward to 2020, COVID locked all of us down, no conventions. Okay, I can do an extra novel this year because I'm not traveling. Suggested a new story in the Icarus universe to my agent, and he pointed out that once a book is too old, if you try to bring the same characters in as protagonists, you're going to lose a lot of people. And he suggested same universe, but new protagonists. I can work the older ones in where they've got spots.
Mm-hmm.
And once he mentioned that, I came up with Gregory Rourke and Celine, and everything just suddenly fell together. I had a couple of books in mind, and as I wrote each one, I saw what else could happen in this universe, in this setting, to the point where I finished the 5th book. I see where this is going. I can finish this off with the 6th. So that is how it all came about.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Gregory's father. The first couple of books, I had all these little sayings, like as my father used to say, don't hit him back first, hit him back only. Things of that sort they're supposed to be humorous, but also have elements of truth in them. Some of that was a throwback to the old Banachek TV show with
Mhm.
I forget his name, guy who played in the A Team.
Oh, Hannibal Lecter? No, not Hannibal Lecter.
The one who played Hannibal in the A Team, yeah,
Hannibal in the 18.
George Papard.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
He would come up every couple of episodes. He was an insurance investigator. He would something would disappear, and he would figure out how it happened.
Mhm.
So mystery, but with the insurance company backing him, sort of thing. A couple of times per episode, he'd pop up with an old Polish proverb says, which were always obscure, felt like he's buying time or watching for a reaction or something, but they were fun to a little thing to put in. So I decided to do something like that with Icarus
Mhm.
and Gregory. Well, my son, who's a professional freelance copy editor and editor, we got him doing the copy editing on these books. And after about the second one, he commented, "I'm really looking forward to meeting Gregory's dad."
Mhm.
I had at that point had not planned to bring him to the series. I didn't see any point to it, but Corwin was right. Okay, yeah, let's bring him in. Just watching him interact with his son, and it was not one of those tired tropes of father and son estranged. We've got to get together. Sort of, it just they were fine. Just kind of drifted apart, type of
Mhm.
thing. Not the dramatic edge, but they both have good parts to play in the storyline and the plot, and it was just fun bringing him in.
Yeah. I love the say. How did you come up with all of his sayings? Did that just off the top of your head, or where are you coming up with? Because there was a ton of them, and I loved them all.
Mostly they just came as I was writing it. Sometimes I would have to work on the wording.
Mhm.
But again, the idea was there's something humorous, but also something important or something truthful in there as well.
Mhm.
So kind of a mix of that sort of thing. But mostly they just came along as I was writing it all. We have thought since beginning the book of printing up a bunch of these things, maybe printing them up, cutting them into little strips,
Mhm.
rolling them up, putting them in a tips jar on my convention table. No, I don't want tips. This is for you to take a tip, courtesy of Gregory Rourke's dad.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put "tip for you" on the jar, don't? Because
Yes.
people are gonna start dropping some bills.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It's, oh, Timothy's not doing well. We need to give him money. No, no, but he was, except for the regular characters, he was like my favorite character that wasn't actually in the book, but up until this book because of all the sayings and everything. He was very well represented. Um, so speaking of the unofficial prequel, the Icarus Hunt, who were the characters in that?
The characters in that, the main ones are Jordan McKell, Ixel, and the two Outriders, Pix and Pack, and Terra.
Mhm.
Uh, I wanted them back, but again, protagonists. We don't want to start the story with them where characters, people who haven't read the original book, will
Mhm.
feel lost. Um, Actually, another little side thing: when I wrote Icarus Plot, my agent gave it to one of his first readers without telling her it was a sequel, and
Mm.
she noticed
Right.
because I folded in everything from the original book that you needed. The other thing is there are several other characters, obviously, in the Icarus Hunt, but since part of it is a murder mystery, I only took the major characters for this series,
Mhm.
Ixel, Mikkel, and Tara. So
Mhm.
that if you read that one last, you don't have any real spoilers.
Oh, good.
So you can read the series and then Icarus Hunt, or Icarus Hunt then the series. You can do it in either order without a spoiler thrown in there for what is going to happen.
So I love the character. You do a great job of building characters, of making me care, about the characters and everything. Both in this series and other series. Um, do you have a favorite? I know it's your children and everything, but do you have a favorite character that well, let me put it this way. Do you have a favorite character that you like to write? It's like, oh, I get to write this character today.
In this series, I think Rourke and Celine are two parts of a whole. They are a team. Uh, Celine's role is not just to use her Canolian sense of smell to figure out who's been by here or who held this gun last or things like that. She's an active member of the team. You'll see her looking up information. You'll see her doing backup with the plasmic and other weapons. You'll see her doing other things that are important. She is a full-fledged part of the team, not a sidekick type of thing. So any scene where the two of them are doing something together against the bad guys is always a lot of fun to write.
Yeah. So since you brought up Celine, let's talk about her. Let's describe her and what her abilities are and how she kind of evolves, or I guess both of them evolve throughout the series.
She is a Cadolian. We don't know much about them. I mentioned right from the start, they are very rare in the part of the occupied galaxy, which we call the spiral.
Mm-hmm.
She has an extraordinary sense of smell to the point where if someone has passed by a place, touched a wall, if it's relatively sheltered from the elements, she can pick up that scent days later. So she, in the days when she and Rourke were bounty hunters, she was an excellent tracker for that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Then they went into looking at planets that had a flyby, so we know, okay, they're oxygen, water planets, and they will go by, do a scoop of biota and see if there are if this planet might be worth developing. That's where they are at the beginning of the series, when they are picked up and handed an assignment that throws them into all shades of trouble, as is the way things go with a novel series. But yeah, she is kind of a secret weapon of his, but they are also friends as well as colleagues. And there are times when Rourke Celine is in trouble or has been captured or something, and Rourke will tell someone, yeah, I'm going to go after her. It's you against, that many. Well, once I free her, it's two of us against that many. And it doesn't matter. I'm still going to go get her. So there's a mutual loyalty, mutual friendship, mutual respect, all the things I like in writing a team of any sort, any size. They should work together well.
And Rourke, how would you describe Rourke?
He's got a sort of a lopsided way of thinking. He connects dots in ways that other people might not, and more often than not, it gets him to the right answer. Mm-hmm. He's also more than a little snarky. He thinks several moves ahead when he can. Mm-hmm. He can improvise when he needs to, which is also very handy throughout the series. Mm-hmm. He will not shoot someone who is not threatening him, but he's quite willing to take someone out if he feels the need. He's got that moral core to him that I like, even though he's done some less than savory things throughout his lifetime. Bounty hunter is legitimate business, but you can, what's the line in Reacher? Sleazy adjacent. So it's, he is the kind of guy I would like to know, I would like at my side in any kind of trouble, which again is a characteristic of a lot of my characters. I would like to know these people.
Yeah, I liked him because he's a flawed hero, and because the days of people being Superman and they're the Boy Scout and all that, that's kind of past. I like somebody who has a past so we can learn about it.
Yeah. Well, he would also prefer to talk his way out of trouble rather than shoot if he has the option.
Yeah. Yeah, not much of a like a fighter or pugilist, but he's a good shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about, because through the series they've had several careers, I would say, but am I right? They started out as bounty hunters and then moved on to other careers.
Looking for planets. They were called Crockett's, after
Right.
Davy Crockett, the frontiersman. And then they got roped into the Icarus group for most of this series.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those were the two jobs they had. They left bounty hunter when they got badly injured in one of the chases. I'll leave that to the readers exactly what happened. But Rourke at that point decided he wanted a safer line of work. They went into crocketing. And then, of course, they get dragged into things where they do get shot at more often. Though he does periodically point out, I didn't want to keep getting shot at, or asking people, what are the likelihood that somebody's going to be aiming weapons at me?
The answer is highly likely.
Pretty much, yes.
So like I said, I've read most of the series. I know secrets. I will try not to give them away. So I guess let's maybe go book by book and share what we can. Kind of the elevator speech for each book. So the Icarus plot. How are we introduced to them? We're talking about their crew and the antagonists and all that good stuff.
Rourke and Celine are hired to do a Crockett job. At the end of it, they are blackmailed / hired into using Celine's sense of smell to track someone who turns out to be Terra from the original book. Mm-hmm. And all sorts of plot twists ensue. You know that much. Mm-hmm. So that is, and at the end, they wind up working for this under the radar group called the Icarus group that is looking for the portals that are the key to this, the whole this storyline. Portals that you can, like two spheres together. You go into a small sphere, punch in a destination code, go to the center, and you wind up in the big sphere, the receiving module of the other one you've punched in. No idea who left these things, no idea where they all are, but we and the dominant economic force in the spiral, the path, are looking for them. So that is where a lot of the conflict is. The path want these things too.
And who are the path?
Path are an alien species. 20 years or so before the story begins, they became the dominant, or started becoming the dominant economic force because they had a star drive called the Telluriac, which is, I think it's like 4 times faster, 3 times cheaper than everybody else's. So they are slowly crowding out all other transport, shipping, passenger sorts of things away from everybody else. So there's an economic factor that is also impinging on and Rourke and everybody else. So, but they know about the portals and they want to collect as many of them as they can as well.
Yeah. So I came into the series on Icarus Twin.
Okay.
Which was
a little bit lost, but I try to fold back in what you need.
Well, to be honest with you, you did a great job with that because I didn't feel lost.
Okay, good.
When I read it, but I enjoyed the crew, mm-hmm. That cast of characters in that book, and they're all very, very different from one another, and I think that's what, for me at least, that's what makes it fun. It's like they're not all, stormtroopers,
Yeah.
And they have their own. So if you want to talk about those characters.
We've got our original, but we also wind up, Rourke is again forced into looking for somebody, Rourke and Celine, and they are given babysitters, 3 former street thugs, now more the managerial class for a major criminal organization in the spiral. Mm-hmm. And they're spent to find this one guy. Also on the way, they're supposed to be our 3 baddies are also given a job. Oh, and we want you to assassinate someone who's betraying the organization. And So the work has to find ways around things, has to put all the pieces together. Again, he's very good at that, connecting dots, and hopefully all of it looks confusing to the reader until he starts laying out what all the pieces are, at which point you can see that they've been properly set up and the mystery is now coming together. These things have a lot of mystery elements to them as well as just science fiction.
Yeah, and that's my favorite story. It could be a noir story, fantasy story, sci-fi, you name the genre. If it's got a good mystery
Yeah.
and a good reveal, I'm in. And this does. This really this kept me interested, and I'm not just blowing smoke because I'm interviewing you. It really it really kept me interested, and I like the character. You do a great job of developing these characters and making me, like I said earlier, making me care about
Thank you.
them.
And that is key in any story. You have to care about the characters. Once you stop caring what happens to them, you've lost the reader.
Yes,
and you've lost any probably any hope of getting the reader back, because then it's no longer the story of these people. It's a bunch of words on paper or on Kindle or audio in your ear. It has to feel on some level real, even through the suspension of disbelief. You've got to wonder what happened. How these characters going to get out, and how are they going to do it?
Yeah, and another way to do that is as far as them being flawed, they screw up.
Oh.
They get in trouble, and they get in so much trouble. I felt sorry for these characters because trouble kept on finding them. Some of it they put on themselves, but trouble just kept finding them. But they also had very good luck because they get out of it. Most of the time.
That's where the improvisation comes, and you see not just Rourke doing it. You'll see in some of the books, particularly the Icarus Job, where Celine comes up with a very quick, not fix, but stalling thing that she comes up with and has to sell. Rourke comes in to back her up, and then he finds out what it was doing. So she improvises, he improvises. They understand each other well enough that they work off each other's cues. And okay, I know she's doing something. I will back her up even though I don't understand it. And she will do the same, vice versa. So again, a very well-functioning team.
Yeah. And is it in Icarus Twin where you have the crew where one of the and forgive me, I forget the character's name, but he's one, or they are one of many units, but they're one character.
You're talking about? I'm not sure. That may be a spoiler if we're not careful.
Okay, well, let's not do that then. Let's not do that.
No, we're not going weird science fiction or anything like that. It's just I think I know what you're saying, and
yeah,
that reveal doesn't come for a while. So let's back up on that.
All right, let's back up on that. So now we're moving into the Icarus Job. I don't think I had the pleasure of reading this one. So kind of take us through the evolution of the characters into this book.
That one, the premise is a crime boss connected with the people in Icarus Twin offer a portal that he's got to Rourke and Celine and the Icarus group in exchange for Rourke and Celine taking on a passenger, taking her wherever she wants to go. And it's going to be probably a few weeks that she'll be aboard. You're going to get a portal out of it, etc. And then they find out that the woman they've brought aboard is a professional assassin. And now we've got the whole question of morally, whether or legally, are we aiding and abetting if we carry an assassin around? So that one, we get a little bit more of moral code, moral whatever. I think the assassin's also a very interesting character. I certainly hope so, because she's named after a woman who bought her way into the book at a charity auction. I think at LibertyCon a couple of years ago.
That's
So
awesome.
I hope she's enjoying her role in that book.
And so, is it the primary antagonist in Icarus Job? Is it still, it's the Hand and various other parties, or who are the primary antagonists?
So again focused on Rourke and Celine, but we've got this assassin. The question is, why are we carrying her around? Why? This guy's a crime boss. He can hire ships. He's got ships. Why
Mhm.
are we doing it? And who is her target? Uh, do we have any kind of obligation, legal, moral? What exactly is going on? Again, it's a find the various pieces, put them together, and figure out what is going on, and then try to stop it. So that was all of these books have been a lot of fun, but that one was good because you got to see not into the assassin's mind, but you got to see some of her morality, logic, whatever. She early on she's telling after revealing who she is, she tells them about a case where a minor politician murdered his hotel room blew up and it killed him and his wife and a couple of kids. And she said, if I had done that job, he'd be the only one dead. There wouldn't be collateral damage. And that is her kind of her moral code is people are going to die. People are going to get other people killed. I can do it as cleanly as possible. Others are just butchers. So dealing with that and all of that, again, that runs up against Rourke and Celine's codes and such.
Mhm.
So again, the interplay there was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, I do like not morally ambiguous, but like morally flexible. It's
Mhm.
like, yeah, I do bad things, but I do it I have my code and I have my morals that I assign to this, and where it's a complex character. It's like, yeah, I do bad stuff, but I try to do it to as few people as possible. Yeah.
I like the kind of not moral ambiguity, but the thing where you've got reasonable arguments on both sides. You can
Yeah.
see her side of that argument.
Yeah.
My favorite cinematic example is Captain America: Civil War. You
Hmm.
can see Cap's point of view of why we have to do this on our own. You can see Tony's point of view that somebody has to ride herd if we go off the reservation. And you can agree both of them have good points. Both of those arguments have flaws to them. It's not, neither was set up as a straw man to be easily knocked over. It's something that makes every person think, how would I choose if I was in that situation? If you can kill people and people are going to get killed anyway. I mean, that's kind of a lopsided logic, but you can see her argument on that one. I can do it without killing other people who would otherwise not have been targeted.
Yeah, no, but that's a great example. That's probably one of the best of that series of movies, and it was of course you have all the action um, and special effects and everything, but to your point, it was more about the story and the conflict within that story, and where it's not cut and dry. It's like both sides have very good points, but um, and uh, to your point, it makes it so much more compelling. It's like, shit, who am I who am I siding with on this?
Yeah.
So I'm backtracking a little bit. The so you talked about how you uh, one of your characters was named after a real person. Do
Mhm.
do you do any of that to where you take people that you know, maybe that are in your life or that you've met throughout the years, and maybe tweak them and make characters out of them?
I usually do the name of the person, not necessarily their personality or
Mhm,
history, anything like that. Uh,
mhm,
I don't do it very often because I think it can get overdone. Uh,
mhm,
but the assassin here and one of the characters, Icarus Coda was also a charity purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've got names, but you could see your name in there, but you won't necessarily know. As far as I know, she's not an assassin. But
Yeah, you would hope so.
very nice lady, and she wanted to be in the book, and okay. Typically, the more money they spend, the bigger the role they get. If it's a $100 charity thing, get a nice block on 3 or 4 lines.
Yeah.
If they do more, then you get a whole book in there. You get to be in the whole book.
Oh, that's cool. Do you, so on that note, do you ever kind of put your own characteristics into characters?
Well, I'm writing it, so on some level,
Yeah.
some of that comes through anyway. In the Manticore Ascendant series I'm doing with David Weber and Tom Pope, Travis is a character who's the major character. He's very by the book, follows orders, follows regulations, but can also think outside the box.
Mm-hmm.
And that is fairly close to my personality. I can think outside the box, obviously, because I can do this sort of job.
Yeah.
But I also tend to be strictly within the guidelines.
Yeah.
So in real life, I'm that way. In my fiction, I can color outside the lines anywhere I want to.
Well, yeah, that's the point of fiction, right?
Yes.
Also backtracking, I want to talk about some of these, and you may have already touched on it, but how we come up with the titles of the books that we've already talked about. So, the Icarus plot.
Yeah.
How do we come up with that?
That just sort of fell into place. There are 2 or 3 plots going on from various people. I like the onion approach where you start peeling off layers and you find another layer underneath.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to get something that connects maybe in 2 ways, if possible, to the storyline.
Mm-hmm.
Plot is, okay, we've got 2 or 3 different plots going on at the same time. Icarus job, that was more of you talk about a job as an assassin, but there's more to it than that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the others tend to have double meanings as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily. It's typically, I know that before I'm done with the book, I know what the title will be.
Yeah.
Sometimes going in, I know what the title will be.
Yeah.
Icarus Coda, the last one, that title came as I was working on actually before I started working on the outline. So I knew where that was going and how it was going to get there.
Yeah.
So I try to do intriguing titles. If it's got a double meaning, great. Otherwise, just kind of fit the mood and the tone of the book.
Yeah. So where did we leave off? Did we talk about job?
Right. We talked about job.
So let's talk about changeling.
Changeling is we come on a planet. We're looking for a portal because that's what Rourke and Celine are basically sent to do pretty much most of the books.
Mm-hmm.
We come upon a teenage Cadolian boy who is working at a fish shop on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to figure out, and then the murders start happening, and Celine has to figure out whether he has been properly socialized. Cadolian children need adult supervision up to a certain age. When his parents died, was he properly socialized,
Mm-hmm.
or did he end up, is he now a sociopath, where part of it is Celine can smell differences and changes in a person's scent when they're emotional, when they're lying, things of that sort, especially if he knows that person. With someone who's a sociopath who doesn't realize they are lying or doesn't see any problem with lying, that won't help. She can't do that. Mm-hmm. So they have to figure out, is this Cadolian boy part of all the chaos that's happening around here at the moment? Is he an innocent person? What can we do to help him? Does he want our help? So that is mixed in with the whole story of what else is going on here and where is that portal.
Yeah, this is one of the books that I got to read, and again, you did a good job of even for a one-time character.
Mhm.
I cared about that character and wanted that character to do well and not get hurt. So the is that where I meet the crew in that book, or is it the previous book?
Uh, Not sure which crew you're talking about. You're talking
Yeah,
about the criminal crew?
no, well, the one that I was alluding to earlier that we don't want to spoil.
Um, I mean, we've got characters coming in all the time,
I
so
know, I know.
I'm not quite sure which one you're talking to. I suppose we could mute it and talk about it, but that's kind of
Yeah,
that's
that's not good for the fans. So now the next book I did not have a chance, and believe me, I am going to rectify this. I will read all the book. I think I've read three or four, no, at least three of them.
okay.
But I will read them all.
Okay.
um, now, so Icarus Needle, where do we find ourselves there?
We wind up through a portal at another world where we have found one of the nexus sections of we're calling them the Ikari now, the people who built these things. That's
Mhm.
Celine's term for them, and it stuck. Uh, that has some portals and another alien race living here. And again, we're now starting to get into some of the history of who the Ikari might have been,
Mhm.
what their relationship was to the Cadolians, who don't remember a lot of their history. They're as I said earlier, nomadic and fairly not pretty much unknown by most of the spiral.
Mhm.
And we start getting certain things, shall we say, unraveling. Um, we'll leave it at that. But there is more mystery to solve. There are more pieces to put together that Rourke collects for his ongoing puzzle of what's actually happening around the spiral these days. And again, lots of action, lots of intrigue, lots of Rourke and Celine working together. We bring in a couple of people we've run into, some expediters, if
Mhm.
that's what you're talking about, path
Mhm.
expediters, who are they're a combination of James Bond and SEAL Team 6. You know,
Mhm.
they're troubleshooters, uh, and we've run afoul of them in the past. And there are some times where we have a common goal and can work with one or more of the expediters. But yeah, those are interesting characters as well, because we get a little more insight into the path culture and
Mhm.
politics, starting with Icarus Needle. And so that carries through to Icarus Coda, and various other things get. We hopefully resolved all the plot threads. I went back and read all the books. Hello, just a second. Our cat not walk on the keyboard. Let go, Max. Let's get okay. I figured she'd do that at some point.
Yeah.
Um, so before I did my final read through for Icarus Coda, I went back and read all of the books again, just to make sure I had not started a plot thread I'd forgotten about and wasn't finishing. So yeah, this closes off the series very well. It is in many ways a continuation of the storyline from Icarus Needle, but you get even more about the Ikari, more about the Cadolians, how they connect with all this, how the path connect with all of this, and hopefully the ending will be satisfying to the readers. I
Well, I'm
think
here to say it.
I think it I think it works with the characters, with the storyline, and I think of it as a win-win-win all around. But you'll have to see what it is when you get there. See if
Uh,
you
so going back to Icarus Needle, is that where we meet Rourke's father?
yes, he's working with the Icarus group,
And
and
so
Corwin, our son, recommended his introduction into that because all the way through the other books, Rourke's internal monologue has been, as my father used to say, and pop off of this. So when you meet Rourke's dad, the way that works is someone walks in the door and Rourke looks at him and is thinking, as my father used to say, cut to dialogue, hello, son. So that was Corwin's suggestion. I think it worked out very well.
Yeah.
But his father is an interesting character, and they also end up working well together towards common goal.
So can you say much about the father without giving too much away?
I mean, I can give you his background. It doesn't really impinge a lot. He started out as a fixer between criminal groups. Was so successful at negotiating and everything, started getting bigger and bigger clients. It worried Gregory when he was growing up because not sure when if his dad would come home or not because he was mixed up with unsavory people. It was years before he realized he's too valuable for anybody to pick off because they might need his services at some point. And since then has graduated into diplomatic and governmental negotiation sort of things. So doing the same sort of work has some of that same ability, but he didn't develop it as much as his dad did.
Right.
But yeah, he's working with the Icarus group when Work is having some troubles with that group. And you'll see their dynamic go back and forth. And again, I like the way that ended up. I think it works for me. Hopefully it works for the readers as well.
Yeah. I definitely want to go read Needle because I want to see more of their interaction. And like you said, I can tell that they're not contentious towards one another, just for how much he refers to his father throughout the series.
Yeah. It's just a matter they grew apart. They went kind of different directions and haven't kept up very well with each other. There's no animosity or anything like Indiana Jones and his dad, or like any other father and son in most genre stuff. You have a lot of healing to do. No real healing. Just kind of have to pick up and kind of get back into stride together.
Right. Yeah, I liked his. Well, it's not really an introduction, but introduction into Icarus Coda, where he just kind of appears, and so coming to the final book for now, the Icarus Coda,
probably the final book, yes.
Probably the final. Well, if we needle a little bit, we the fans.
Well, this story is done. We can always pick up a new story. We'll
Yes. For me personally, great wrap up. It's a great conclusion. Still with a lot of mystery. It's not like you're going into it knowing what's going to happen, or which is great. I really it's a slow burn in the way that for me it's like, all right, I got a little bit more information. What's next? And it just it kept me going the whole way until the very end, and then the ending was great. It was just a good wrap up of the series.
I think it makes sense with the direction that Rourke and Celine have been going. It makes sense with their personalities and characters. And but hopefully you did not see it coming until it's just about on top of you.
Oh, no, it hit me in the face. Especially with some of the, I guess, epiphanies about certain characters and things like that, and how that came about, and basically how they dealt with it. I also enjoyed, and you already touched on this, how basically Celine knows in a given scene, will know what Rourke is thinking or is about to do by what she's smelling of it. And which for me is pretty cool. It's like, I'm gonna raise an eyebrow, and you know to do this. Except you don't even need to do that much. She could just smell it off of you, which I don't know. To me, could be a blessing and a curse for her because living with a bunch of dudes, you know.
And she's run into times when a powerful odor that wouldn't really bother us can be overwhelming for her. So yeah, that's the ability does come with a downside.
Yes, yeah. So let's kind of talk about. I mean, it's the reason we're here is talk about Icarus Coda. Let's
Mhm.
kind of talk about where the the elevator pitch for that one, where the plot takes us, and kind of vaguely how it wraps up.
I think the elevator pitch for that one is all the pieces and plot threads all come together to a climactic ending. We'll go with that one. It's really
Yes.
hard to describe without having to go through all of the others as well. But a lot of what happens at the end of Icarus Needle is now carried through and comes to its logical conclusions.
Yeah. And it seems like it doesn't just work out for the main characters. It seems like everybody gets a little bit, you
It's
know.
a win-win-win
Yeah,
situation.
yeah. But it's not tied up pretty. Like don't get me wrong. It's
Mhm.
still very interesting, but it's the way that you got there. You know, working all this and that was very very interesting, and a lot of them were surprising. It was like, oh, it's like I can't believe he did that.
Well, that's part of the job.
Yeah, no, it's very, very good. So for the uninitiated folks out there who haven't started on this series, I highly recommend it. Please go buy all the books today. Is is Coda out now, or it's coming out
Comes out next week, April 1st.
April 1st? All right.
Yeah.
So as of this recording, it is not out, but by the time you all are watching this, the book will probably be out. Link is probably in the description. Go buy it. But now, since we've talked about the books and everything, um, before before we wrap up, let's talk about you. You're a very busy man. You're right, huh?
Pretty busy, yes.
Yeah. So what are you doing to because you're very prolific. What are you doing to inspire yourself, to entertain yourself? What I mean, what are you? Who are you reading right now?
Uh, I tend not to read much fiction anymore. I find myself trying to edit it, and it's just not relaxing the way it was when I was growing up. So I read a lot of nonfiction, a
Mhm.
lot of history, corners of World War II, especially that I hadn't gotten to. A while back, I read a history of the Franco-Prussian War in the late 1800s. That was very interesting, and I learned a little bit about military tactics in general just from that. It codified a whole bunch of stuff. One example is a lot of European countries sent observers over to look at what to watch the American Civil War, just to
Mhm.
see just military attacks, everything else. And apparently, the Prussians were the only ones who also looked at infrastructure, communication lines, rail lines, how that fit into all of that. And that stood them in very good stead when the French invaded, and they had all of this information. They had thought about all of it going into it, things of that sort. Um, at the moment, I'm actually rereading. Bedtime rereading is the a comic strip that came out during World War II called Barnaby, a little boy living in
Mhm.
America who has one day gets a fairy godfather who is a complete windbag, but a lot of very funny adventures. You know, he winds up with a dog that can talk. He meets a ghost who is very timid sort of character, friend
Mhm.
of O'Malley's, his fairy godfather. So it's a lot of, but it's set into the background of World War II. It's not a fantasy world. It is the real world. He just happens to run into all these strange people, an invisible leprechaun, things like that. For my Kindle reading when I'm on trips, because I don't want to lug extra books along, I'm reading a history of the Roman Republic.
Oh, wow.
And how that came to be, and how Rome became an empire. So that has been very interesting as well, but mostly nonfiction and humor stuff these days.
That's pretty cool. So would you call yourself a big history buff or an enthusiast?
Oh no, the more you read, the more you realize how much history you don't know. So
Right.
I enjoy it, but not. I wouldn't consider myself a buff.
You're not going to teach a class tomorrow.
No. Also,
Um,
some stuff of some interesting books about American and British agents in France during World War II, which has been fascinating.
Very cool. You mentioned earlier Reacher. You did a quote from Reacher. Are you currently watching the show?
Actually, we are. We just finished season 2 last night about 1:30 in the morning. I gotta stop. They got to stop putting cliffhangers at the end of every episode. I just have to say that. But yes, I've been enjoying those as well. Those are, again, very much a puzzle box thing, which is the kind of thing I like to write and read. And with the deduction capabilities he's got. So it's, my wife brought in, here is the copy of Barnaby.
Oh, cool.
Book 2 of they only did 6. They didn't finish the series, but that is, they're very enjoyable, very well written. Crockett Johnson, the writer, is the one who did Harold and the Purple Crayon as well. So that was made into a movie a couple of years ago with Zachary Levi.
Oh, wow.
So
and that's out of the 40s?
Sorry?
That's out of the 40s? The year that that cartoon was out, it was during the war, right?
This thing, yes.
Yes.
I think it started 1941, 42.
Yeah.
So something like that. But yeah, it's his dad gets to be the air raid warden of their neighborhood, and there's rationing to deal with and things of that sort. So the war is always kind of in the background, but Barnaby doesn't really pay that much attention. The war never came to the United States shores, except Alaska, but we'll ignore that. But it's just his meeting with and his fairy godfather and his parents' refusal to believe this guy exists, and how they all just keep missing each other, as is the sort of thing in this kind of book or story. But those have been very enjoyable. I'd recommend those to anybody who enjoys humor, fantasy-ish writing, and such.
That's very cool. So now, going back to Reacher, did you get to read the books?
No, I have not. So I'm probably going to start looking at those. Again, there's the whole fiction thing. I don't know how well that'll work, but the TV series have been well written. So maybe I can not find, oh, that's a plot hole, or that is something I would have done better. Maybe he writes well enough that I can actually immerse myself in it instead of trying to edit it.
Well, yeah, well, and maybe because it's not science fiction, you might.
that might work. That might help too. Yeah.
Are there any other shows or movies that you're into right now?
I like watching. We're watching occasional movies at the theater. We got a whole couple of racks full of older DVDs and Blu-rays and such. We'll put those in. Like to go back occasionally, maybe once every couple of years, go through the Burn Notice show. White Collar is a good one. Chuck, Eureka.
Yeah, those are all great shows.
Introducing our son to Eureka at the moment. So he had never seen it. So we, that's kind of dinner fare while we eat sort of thing. But most of the day I at my desk working or trying to figure out what the next thing is, letting the cat out, letting the cat in, letting the cat back out. That is the way of cats.
Yeah.
So, I'm keeping busy, but, and I've also got, about 16, 17 more conventions this year. Picked up a lot of them, working with comic sketch art, with several of them. They're bringing me in and setting me up at a table and such.
Awesome.
I figured that at my age, 73, you never know how long I can keep doing this. So as long as I can, I should. Yeah. And we will probably try to get a Disney World trip in end of the year as well.
Awesome. So you mentioned that you're busy.
Yeah.
Are there any projects in the works right now that we don't know about that you can talk about?
Coming tomorrow is a new story with the Amazon. I forget what it's called. I will do a post on Facebook tomorrow. But it's a story called Trapline. It's available on Kindle tomorrow. Amazon is a special story collection they've been doing, presenting. Amazon Presents or something of that sort. I'm forgetting the details. But that comes out tomorrow. It's a story about an astral type travel that is the way we're starting to reach the stars, except our protagonist gets caught in a trap and has to figure out his way out of it. And we have aliens or warriors who are also stuck in the trap. And there is a alien cat in this area with the zoomies. So it was a fun little bit of a puzzle. How do we figure out a way out of this thing? A little more lighthearted than some of the stuff I've done, but it was a lot of fun to do. It comes out tomorrow. I'll be again posting on Facebook to announce it. Icarus Coda comes out next week, as I said, and
should also be available as an audio.
Oh, it's also available as audio. Kindle, it's Amazon, so it's on Kindle, but they've also got an audio for it.
That's more my speed.
Yes. And I'm working on book 5 of Manticore Ascendant. That guy has been delayed, first of all, because David has 97 different projects he's working on at any given time. And then a tree fell in his office during the hurricane aftermath. So he's kind of running behind. I've got some time in my schedule, so I'm working on as much of what I've got to do as I can. So that's a major project right for the moment.
Well, as we get close to the end here, where can people find you out in real life? You mentioned all your conventions coming up, and where can they find you online?
Online, it's Timothy's facebook.com/Timothy Zahn. One of the featured posts has listings and links to all the conventions for the coming year. All the conventions I've been announced for. There are 3 or 4 that haven't announced me. When they do, I will add those into that list. But yeah, facebook.com and the featured post will have links to all of the convention sites, so you can see where I'm going to be, what the details are, and all of that. So that's a simple way of finding where I'm going to be. Next weekend, following weekend after the first weekend of April, I'll be at Awesome Con in Washington, D.C.
Oh, cool.
And the weekend after that, C2E2 in Chicago. 2 weekends after that, I'll be in Huntsville. So the full list is on the Facebook page.
Very cool. It has been a pleasure as always speaking with you. And again, not blowing smoke. I'm talking to the fans. Please go out, read this series. It's fun. It's interesting. You're gonna love the characters, and you won't see it coming, whatever it is. So go check that out.
It has been literally 20 years in the making.
Wow.
I've been working on this. This has been what they call a passion project.
Yeah.
I wanted to get back into this universe and found a way in, and it has been a delight to write these 6 books.
Well, thank you for doing so, because I've really enjoyed the ones that I've gotten to read, and I will read them all, including your Thrawn books. What I've read so far has been awesome. That character is just amazing. It's one of my favorite characters in Star Wars right now. So I really appreciate you writing those, and hopefully you and I get to do this again for your next project.
Okay.
And but with that, I want to say thank you very much. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you. Take care.
And now, as promised, one jump ahead. John Moore is a nanotech-enhanced soldier of fortune. Lobo is an AI, a living weapons and intelligence platform of enormous destructive potential. Two very dangerous wolves in a galaxy of deadly corporate and paramilitary predators. But Moore has grown weary of the killing, and just once he'd like to finish a job without leaving a trail of blood behind him. Not going to happen. Not on a pristine planet called Macon, where two gigantic corporations vie for control of the local jump gate and access to the riches of an undeveloped world. Dealing with a kidnapping and extortion scheme is only the beginning for Moore and Lobo as they work to stay one jump ahead.
Chapter 3. The wind blowing off the water cooled the lush early evening air. The sky still glowed, pinks and oranges, shading the clouds over the ocean, but darkness was coming, the colors muting as if the wind were shoving away the day. I felt its push, too, as I walked back and forth on the stretch of beach in front of my house. The urge to leave was strong. One person wanting me to work for him and monitoring me was bad. Two was almost intolerable. Where to go, though, was the problem. I wanted desperately to return to Pinkelponker, to find out if my island-studded home planet still existed, and to learn something I was embarrassed to admit was even more important to me, whether Jenny was still alive. I couldn't go there, though, because there was no way through the permanent blockade that surrounded the only jump gate that led to Pinkelponker. Even if I could find a way through the gate, I probably wouldn't survive. None of the ships that had made the jump since the disaster had ever returned. Another option was to follow up the rumors of another survivor of the agro experiments. But even if they were true, I wasn't sure I wanted to meet him, or her, because he might recognize me. The fewer people who know what I am, the safer I am. I kept coming back to Pinkelponker. It tugged at my heart, as it often did in moments of contemplation. Trying to go there meant facing off with the best mercenaries and equipment the Central Coalition government could afford, and doing so with no allies, no ship, and even if I saved Jasmine Slake and her father paid me, not enough cash to buy a ship that might survive the voyage. If I was going to be totally honest with myself, I also had to admit that as long as I didn't go there and personally witness the planet's remains, I could believe there was a chance that Pinkelponker had survived and Jenny was alive. Maybe it was time for another career. A new start on some planet where no one knew me. I could find work again as a private courier. I could try something completely different, though I had no idea what that might be. The more I walked, the less I knew what I wanted. When long-term planning fails me, as it so often does, I turn my attention to whatever is in front of me. Given what Lobo had told me about the gardeners, I had little doubt I could get them to give up the girl. I worried only that I might have to hurt some of them. Once I open the door to violence, I have a hard time closing it. Then there was Barnes's plea. I doubted he could do much with the month he wanted, but that was his business and his choice. My business was to figure out whether he could provide anything I wanted. I walked back to the house, killed all the lights, and sat close to the main window. The glass a familiar separator distancing me from the world. I closed my eyes, focused on nothing, and tried to drift off, to let my subconscious do the heavy lifting. Before she fixed my brain, not just fixed it, changed it more profoundly than I believe she ever realized, Jenny told me that I might not have a smart head, but I had a smart heart, and a smart heart was better. Now, almost a century and a half, several wars, and the agro prison stint later, I doubted much smart or good remained in my heart. I didn't, however, doubt my ingrained ability to protect myself, nor did I doubt that I could either make the best of bad situations or, at least, survive them. A few minutes later, everything clicked. I knew what to do. It might not be the best course to follow, but it would at least be a path that would take me a useful step forward from where I was. I ran down the stairs to the car's shuttle and headed for town. I had several stops to make and some supplies to get, and I wanted to finish early enough that I could sleep late into the next day so I'd be ready for the long night that would follow. As I'd hoped, Barnes worked late. No one stopped me on the way to his office, another sign of the easygoing early colonization manner in which he ran things. On any planet that either the Central or the Frontier Coalition would consider civilized, you'd never be able to get within pistol range of the mayor of a city without encountering security. Another of the mixed blessings of civilization. I let myself in and sat in the chair I'd occupied previously. I'd clearly unnerved him. His eyes flickered between me and the desk's display as he tried to play it cool. He finished a bit of work, murmuring instructions I couldn't make out, forced a smile, and looked up. "May I help you?" "That's up to you." He leaned back, visibly confused. "I'm afraid I don't quite understand." "How much do you want the month of delay you asked me to get?"
This has been the Bane Free Radio Hour. Thanks for joining us at the heart of science fiction. Join us next week for part 9 of One Jump Ahead by Mark Van Name. And don't miss our next interview when Sean Hazlitt interviews Gregory Frost about Rhymer, Hell, the next volume in the Rhymer series. Score by Ruth Judkowitz.